Hello!
Hi!
Welcome back to the Inner Power Podcast,
Episode 15.
episode 15. And today we're going to talk about how do we learn to focus. So this is going to be ideal for anyone that's feeling, I don't know, you lose your focus, obviously, or if you could be feeling a bit stressed out at the moment, overwhelmed, just stuff going on. So we got some great tips we're going to share with you. And talk about how we can learn to improve our focus.
And I think this is a really great topic because how often we hear, just focus, even when we talk to kids, or when they are at school, teachers always say, just focus on what you're doing right now. But
Sorry, I was totally distracted then.
You were totally distracted. And we are being told to focus, but nobody actually, or hardly anyone, is teaching us how to do it.
All right.
And I do believe this topic might bring you, or today's episode might bring you a lot of clarity and give you some really handy tools on how you can actually master your mind and learn how to focus and be in the present moment.
Brilliant. I just want to say, I had a bit of a stressful earlier part of the year, and a lot of these tips I started implementing. It made a massive difference. I got a online pop-up course coming out very soon on mindset, so we kind of cover it a little bit more in there. And just before we get started with today's episode, we are going to be doing a workshop next year, me and Angg. So if you are interested, because we were going to cover a lot of stuff like this, it's all about mindset and development and improving ourselves. So if you are interested, just say I'm in.
And just to mention, it's not going to be just a theory. There will be lots of exercises where you're going to be actively putting things into practice and just testing it out for yourself to see how powerful those tools are. So it's a good stuff.
We got great stuff planned up. And it is all going to be about empowering ourselves, feeling better, and going on to taking our stay. It's easy for me to say, taking ourselves to that next level. We'll have some fun whilst we're doing it as well. So there we go. So let's crack on with this episode then. So how do we learn to focus? What's our first tip of the day, Angg?
Right, so let's maybe talk about the things that are not helping us with focus, something that we basically exposed to every single day, and things like mobile phones. And let's be honest, I'm not going to say that technology is bad. It's not about that. But as you probably noticed, technology might be a massive distractor, okay? Notifications from the phones and messages, whatever it is, every time our phone pings, we are being distracted and we want to go straight into our device and just see what is going on, purely because there is a chemical reaction in our brain. There is a dopamine released, which is the hormone of pleasure, is being triggered and released, so we are chemically, is that the
I'm just distracted by the helicopter sound.
But there is obviously the hormone that is being released in our brain and gives us this feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment, and we are getting very quickly addicted to it. So it's a very similar when we're drinking alcohol, or people who are taking drugs. What keeps them stuck in a cycle of doing those things is just the dopamine. So it's that short-term release of this hormone of satisfaction and pleasure. So that's the technical explanation of how the brain works and the chemical reactions in brain works, and what phones does to us, because it's pretty much the same reaction in the body. So there is a lots of different things. We are bombarded nowadays. We are bombarded with the massive amount of information coming from every angle, and it's not only phone. It's pretty much everywhere in every shape and form, and so the importance of learning how to focus and bring yourself back to a present moment is not a luxury, is necessity for us to keep ourselves sane, and in order for us to live our life fully and feel in control, is just to learn how to master that skill. By just bringing ourselves back to the present moment, where we are not distracted and entangled with a million things going on in our head.
I think as well with this is we're not only conditioned to check, people are conditioned to want something as well. But I find if someone really does want something, and that desperate, they're probably going to call you a few times. That was said to me a few years back. You don't need to answer everything in one go, because you're never going to be able to please everyone. And actually, when I started implementing that, it made a big difference. And when it's an emergency, someone's probably going to call you once, twice, 3 times, because we have that available to our hands now, right? So, have a think about it. So sometimes we get caught up out some messages running around everywhere and doing everything. And of course, there's social media as well, but you can switch off social media, and we'll give you some other tips in just a bit. But have a think, like, and I talk about this a little bit on the pop-up course, and I know we've discussed it, and we've discussed it a bit more on the workshop, setting some new routines for ourselves. I've been talking about it quite a bit recently in some of my own short-term videos, but is being in control of what you're consuming and when you're consuming it, basically. And remember, like, I was thinking earlier, just before we came on, when was the last time you had a handwritten card or a letter, handwritten letter?
Well, last week actually.
Last week?
Yeah.
Before that?
Quite a bit.
A handwritten letter. So it's like, how are you? This is what I'm doing. Da, 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 da. So I'm not saying, it'd be nice to go back to that. It's quite nice. Like my staff still do that for, I hope they still do it for new members, just a handwritten card. And it's just nice. Whereas it's great, like you said, with technology, you can connect with someone halfway around the world instantly. So it's good on that note. But I feel that we're conditioned into expecting things just like that. Maybe in our heads we feel we got to respond to these things just like that. Whereas I don't feel. I've learned to really, well, that can wait. I'll come back to this, and just manage my time around there, and how and when I look at even emails. Emails, I used to answer them on the spot, and now if it feel, I'll assess it. But most emails can wait, because I feel if it's that urgent, then, and they know me that well, they've got my phone number and they know how to leave a message, and I'll pick it up. So if you call me, chances are I'm not going to answer the phone. Unless you're very special or in my inner circle, but generally it goes to answer the phone.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, again, like I said, just your exposure to the phone and not responding immediately is by you training yourself to have a control over those things. So I'm glad you mentioned that, there is obviously pluses to the fact that we have access to the technology. I mentioned that earlier as well, myself. I'm obviously living here in the UK. My mom is back home. I can send her message, just right here, right now, and most probably I'm gonna receive response within, just a couple of minutes. So that's the beauty of the technology. And I'm not saying technology is bad. It's about learning to use it to your advantage rather than just being used by it. And this is what we are saying here. It's about the learning, this control, and allowing ourselves to benefit from all of it, what is given to us, but in a way that is benefiting us and not tearing us apart. And I was listening the other day to this guy. He put great TEDx talk on, that was released on YouTube. His name is Chris Bailey, and he was talking about how to get your brain to focus. And he said he tested himself. What would it be like, just in terms of focusing, if he limited his phone exposure, or exposing himself to phone or social media, whatever, for a short period of time? And he gave himself 30 minutes a day to do things on the phone. I don't know, scrolling through apps, watching social media, calling his parents, you name it. And he was trying to see how would that impact his daily routine and doing other things, and the level of focus on the things he would be, just attending to do. And he said first week he felt really uncomfortable, like he was having like withdrawal symptoms, and he really wanted to grab that phone and check things. But what happened with week 2, 3, and 4, he realized that his mind started calming down. It was less reactive. And that started allowing him to focus on the things that he was doing for much longer than normal. and he could finish his tasks in much shorter time because he simply wasn't distracted. And he was saying how often we, for example, work on a laptop and we have a phone next to us and there will be notification coming up, and as soon as the notification comes up and the screen lights up, your attention from looking at the screen and doing what you're doing is is destroyed. You're not there. You're automatically starting to look at the phone because, again, the dopamine release in our brain, and the addiction and the active response. So he said, because he did that test for a month, his focus span increased massively. So then when he range reduced, longer period of time of the phone exposure on daily basis, he had more control over the phone, or how long he was spending, how much time he was spending on the phone. And the funny thing is, today I was going to town, and I was walking down the street, and I was just watching people. Well, first of all, I love watching people, but I was just looking around and thinking, how many people are actually present, and so many people are literally walking with the phone right in front of their face. And sometimes I'm thinking, you're not gonna miss that pothole, just you're gonna fall.
I love when I'm in, say, a cafe or a pub and I see a couple, and we all pick up the phone every now and then, right? And they spent the whole time just they hadn't spoke to each other at all.
I think that's very disrespectful, if I can't be honest.
It is. But both of them on it, so who are they disrespecting?
Oh, it is different. Let's say, okay, we are a little bit, just sidetracking here. But if you are sitting somewhere, of course, and let's say we are working on something and you are on your phone, I'm on my phone. Okay, fair enough. We are allowing this to happen. But if we are having, for example, our time, we are together, right? And I am talking to you about something and you're focused on the phone, you know very well you can't focus on two things at once. So for me, automatically, this is just disrespect.
Yeah.
Because you're not present with me. And again, this is something what I'm leading to. We can only actively focus on one thing. There is no such thing like multitasking. It's just our ability to switch from one task to another, which again, for a very long time was as a, not the bonus, that's not the word, asset. If you were able to switch from one task to another very quickly, that was a massive asset for you. But in reality is actually not, because this is enhancing our anxiety and inability to focus on one thing for a prolonged period of time.
Learn to multitask. I can't remember where I was hearing that now. It was somewhere. It was a long time ago. Learn to multitask. And then one of the first mastermind programs was on. It's over in the States. I don't know if this is a book. I just remember the drill. Multitasking is a lie.
It is a lie.
It's a lie. You can test it out. Do it on the course, but you can test it out. You're going to have to do the course to find out how it's a lie. I can't give everything away, but there's some great drills out there. See, you guys don't know it, but someone's trying to call me, and obviously I can't answer it because I'm doing this, but that's why I put things on silence.
There we go. That helps, right?
And it just reminded me, it's the watch. I had a great idea for years back. I'm going to buy an Apple Watch. Stupidest thing I ever did. I turned half the things off, and it's reminding me, actually, just doing this episode today, I got a few WhatsApp groups I need to silence. I flipping hate the things. As soon as someone says, hey, we could set up a WhatsApp group, like, nah, I don't really want to do that. My heart sinks. We've been doing some self-defense, right? We ought to set one up. We promised them, and we haven't. We've been pretty good. But I'm glad we talked about this, because it's just reminding me of that, and then I can go to it in my own time, rather than it pinging every 5 minutes. I was out for a walk, and I think I was waiting for the watch to kick in and say, you were out walking, do you want to record it? Like, okay, yeah, fine. So I kept checking my blooming watch, and it was WhatsApp going off. Driving me up the wall. So there you go.
Right.
So if you're in these groups, and I've got a few that I would answer straight away. Ish. I'll say answer straight away. I look at it and think, oh, they're the ones I'm going to go to. Friends, family. Not necessarily straight away, but when I'm ready to, and others I'll just check as and when. So I'm sorry if I'm in a WhatsApp group you feel I'm being ignorant. It's just that my time is so precious, and I need to get stuff done. That's it. I'd rather just meet up and have a social event, wouldn't you? Why not?
Definitely.
It's just, yeah, because I can't always pick up what's going on a WhatsApp group. It's about 10 conversations going on, isn't it? I know we sidetrack, but it's important. It is important. Look, you go in a WhatsApp group.
Multitasking.
There's about 50 conversations. You might as well stand in a room and try and understand what's going on with 10 people speaking. That's how I feel about them. They work for some, and they are a necessity for certain things, but half the time I'm like, oh my God, do I really need to know this right now?
So that's unnecessary.
I sound really
distraction.
grumpy and miserable. I'm not at all. It's just,
It's not raining yet.
it's not raining yet. It's, but your time is precious, and I was probably one of them kids got easily distracted, so I understand it. And I understand it when you're stressed and you're overwhelmed and you feel like you're running around trying to do everything. So there comes a time when we've talked about boundaries, and you're setting a boundary for yourself. With everything we're going to list out in this episode is about setting a boundary, and it's all boundaries for ourselves. To help focus, and if you are stressed, overwhelmed, or you're just a busy person, then these things are going to help you, because you'll find you'll get a lot more time back. You'll get a lot more time back to do the things that are important. And as I say, if it's that urgent, someone is going to call you a lot of times, because if someone sends you a message when it's an emergency and then they got the hump because you didn't contact them, that's not your problem. I know if I had if there was an emergency, I need to let you know, I'd be calling you up. And you'd probably do the same, right? So I'm not going to say, oh, can you come back quick, the house is on fire, or the business is burnt down, in a text message. Because you never know when someone's going to pick that up. You're on the phone, right? So I'd say a lot of the messages that you get can probably wait. And if you need to really, really, really know something, there's a great thing on your phone. If you go onto the internet, you can type in this, right? It's Google. You can ask anything of Google, and pretty much you'll get the answer anyway. There you go. I will have a bit of rant then, wasn't I? I've just
Yeah, I'm just
stuff.
listening.
Yeah, all right. Where do we get to?
Oh my
These are
goodness.
great tips. Listen, I've been there, done it. I get asked stupid questions sometimes, and but my team have pretty much learned that they can go on Google and find out some of the answers, right? Sorry, team, but we laugh about it now.
Brilliant. So let's bring the awareness to the present moment.
It's present. Present. Just go on Google.
And this is it. That's the another thing. When it comes to learning focus, what is focus? Let's say, aka concentration, being concentrated, is your awareness, sustained awareness at the present moment, in the present moment. And I was watching beautiful episode done between Dan Pandami and Jim Kwik. For those who don't know who Jim Kwik is, he is called one of the best brain mind coaches in the world, also called boy with a broken brain, because he had an accident at the age of 5, heavy head injury that really disallowed him learn and remember things. And he actually committed himself to retraining and rebuilding his brain to be able to remember things. And fast forward till today, he is the best person to go to learn how to read fast, how to remember things. He's been working with presidents, with movie stars, you name it, and helping them to increase their mental capacity to learn and absorb the information. And they were talking about the awareness and being in the present moment, the importance of being in the present moment. Because in reality is this, and this is something what I really liked, how they describe the mind. We are very familiar with the concept of the mind is wandering, or we have a monkey mind. And they said something very interesting, and they used picture to describe it. And I'm visual, so it works for me really well. Hope it will work for you too. Imagine the mind is like a building full of rooms, right? And in each room you have different things. For example, in one room you might have feelings of anger, in the other room feelings of love, then another room will be associated with your spouse, and another room with your family, with work, you name it. So we have plenty of those rooms around the house. You get the concept. And then awareness is just like this ball of light that keeps moving between rooms. So if we are not learning to be in the present moment, the awareness is basically going like this, right? Jumping between rooms. You are pretty much everywhere. So the mind is still, but your awareness is not. And this is where we basically become more anxious, more stressed, because we are unable to stay in one of the rooms for a prolonged period of time. And the whole idea is to learn how to be more present just for a little bit in each room every time we enter that room. So I know, as weird as it sounds, sometimes when you're angry, obviously you can make the conscious decision of going somewhere else. You know, you have free will and choice of where you prefer to be. But the whole idea is that, you know, if you want to learn to be more present, you have to become more aware. And that's the simple concept. For example, I'm having conversation with Matt here right now, and he's talking and I am listening. And let's say my mind will start wandering and I will be thinking, what am I gonna have for dinner today? Or I just need to put the washing on the line. You name it. As soon as I become aware of the fact that my mind wandered, I just bring myself back to the present moment. Because obviously this is the type of training we've been through for so long. We're conditioned that way, so mind will be going, or not mind again, awareness will be going to many different places. But we can retrain ourselves by becoming more aware of what is going on. So I'm gonna bring myself back to the conversation. So then what is happening? That's one of the greatest benefits of learning how to be present. What he's gonna be presenting to me, saying to me, I'm gonna remember better. Right? I'm gonna be more involved in the conversation. I'm gonna be more present, more respectful. Then when we're gonna go back to this conversation, I'm gonna remember the facts of the conversation much better because I was present. And obviously he will feel heard, right? Because I was simply paying 100% of my attention to what he was saying to me. And this is how we basically doing it in every single situation, task that we are encountering every day, by just bringing ourselves back to the task that we are doing and consciously limiting those things that we know are distracting us from practicing this new practice that we want to master. So for example, putting the phone away a little bit further away, right? Because let's say you decided that you're going to work on something for an hour or half an hour. You get it.
I got a method for this, and it does work.
What is
called
it?
the Pomodoro method. So you set a timer. It could be 25 minutes, half hour, whatever you feel you can really go flat out for. And it will increase productivity. It will increase awareness, for one. Get you focused on one thing. Yeah. So you set a timer, say 25 minutes, half hour, you put away all distractions. All distractions. Put your phone on silent. I mean, if you're that worried about it, like I said, if it's an emergency, someone's probably going to call you one time after the other. So just ignore it and you can come back to messages later on, yeah? You're not going to answer emails because hopefully you would have done that in the morning. So generally, mornings when I have a time when I go through my emails and that's it. I delete off the junk and read what I need to. And then if I feel, okay, that's something I need to address, then if it's desperate, something's gone wrong. But I'll come back to it when it's on the time I'm ready to come back on to whatever that is. It's normally stuff I need to do for Karens and stuff, yeah? So stuff I'll come back to. So in this, what I'm getting at, in this 25, 30 minutes, you're focusing on one task and you're purely focusing on that one task. If you work in an environment where there's other people around you, hopefully you've got a quiet space you can go. Works great for me when I'm working from home or just a couple of times if you work down like a cafe or whatever, and I'll switch off and that's it. And I can focus on that task. And then once that timer's gone off, no matter where you are, I will say it can be difficult when I've been writing courses or writing content, because then I got to come back to it. However, you get to reward yourself with a 5 or 10 minute break. So that could be a cup of tea. If you really, really need to check your phone or go on social media, do it then. rather than have a timer for that break. And then as soon as the timer's off, gone, come back, that's it, crack on, and then you do the other 25, 30 minutes. In theory, what you should find is, especially if you're like ourselves, self-employed, working for yourself, you'll get more done, you'll accomplish more tasks, and in less of the time. So that means you got more time to then do things that you enjoy doing. And I think that's also equally important for learning to focus, is that scheduling in your life as best as you can around the things that you like doing. So my children are important, so I do my best to schedule everything around when I'm having them, for example. Yeah, or it could be family time. We're going to come on to health and fitness, but put these things into your diary first, and that's like a non-negotiable. And if you find you don't have time for stuff, then it's like, well, you need to look at that and think, well, why? What is it that I'm doing that is causing me to take so long to get things done? And there are deadlines for stuff, and it might mean, but generally, I'm writing this course, yeah, it's taking a little bit longer, but I'm not going to stress too much about it, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm going to rush it, and I'm not going to be as productive. And if you're stressed out with stuff, you're not as productive. So all these tips are a way to focus on the task at hand and harness the skill sets that you've got and harness them in the best way possible. Someone's going to come and distract you. You either allow it or you don't allow it. And I think I'm really sorry, I can't talk right now. Can we talk later on at this time? Can we come back to that? Yep, perfect. And then crack on with what you got to do, unless it's an absolute emergency. Generally don't. Things I think of as emergency for me is we had a water leak, right? Stop everything. I got to sort that one out. That's different. Yeah, these are things that just one-off things that unfortunately happen from time to time, but not all the time. And another tip for that is if you like me, you got a long list of things you want to do, just focus on 3 a day. Get 3 things done a day. Then you'll find that you're accomplishing more. You're less stressed because you feel like you've got loads to do. And if you've done those 3, you can always go into the big list if you want to, pick something off there. And it saves you procrastinating as well. And you just find that, these things get done quicker in the least amount of time. There you go. Mic drop. Of course, I talk about this more in my course.
So, in short, learn to do one thing at a time. Right?
One thing at a time, yeah.
Instead of multitasking everything and micromanaging, you can basically accomplish more if you just focus on one thing for a prolonged period of time. And obviously, this is when it comes to talking about any type of work you were doing. But when it comes to, you mentioned time with boys, when you learn to become more aware and more present, you are actually enjoying the time spending with your loved ones much more. And imagine that majority of people, most of the time that we are spending in our head is either in the past or in the future. We either were worrying about or just stressed about what happened in the past, and then we are using present moment to create a future that we don't know what it's gonna be like. But as a human nature works, we tend to write the worst case scenario. Why? Because just in case something happens, we need to be prepared, and that is survival thing. So, but the reality is, like, tomorrow is not promised to anybody, and worrying about the future, being anxious about what's going to happen is stripping you from the pleasure of being right here, right now. And when you learn to bring your awareness to the present moment, you can ask yourself questions like, what do I like about this moment? Again, when you're with someone, you're enjoying this person presence more at this moment, and you're getting so much more out of it, and not only you but also the other person. So thinks that the best benefits, from learning to be more aware and to controlling your awareness, if you like, is that you basically, if you're learning something, you're learning much faster, because whatever you're learning about has your undivided attention, right? You are more alive, or you're living in the present moment, so you're just experiencing this moment to the fullest. You focus better, of course. You remember better because again you are aware of what is going on and you're paying attention to what is going on. You're less stressed because you're not worrying about the past and you're not thinking about what's going to happen in the future. So you're reducing amount of stressors because at this moment right now there is actually nothing attacking you, nothing worrying you, nothing is falling on your head. Therefore, there is no reason to stress. So level of the stress is limited. You're truly experiencing the moment, so in terms of being with someone who is close to you, you're giving them your best, you're giving them your time. I don't think if you can give anybody anything better than your own presence, right, and your own time. And when you focus on them, this is massive gift because you're really with them, and that what matters, that what counts. So I think that's the most important benefits of learning, to be more aware or bringing this awareness, training this awareness to be right here, right now. And there was just a beautiful quote said that the rewards from learning the skill, because obviously it takes time to retrain our brain, but the
this is
effort,
easy. This is, in a way, some of this is easy.
Some people say easy, some people it's not. I say it's not, and let's leave it like that. But the rewards from actually mastering the skills are much greater than the efforts you put in to master it, if that does make sense. And if someone been practicing this old way of thinking, trying to multitask everything for such a long period of time, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 years, it's quite obvious that it's not going to happen overnight. It's just like learning to play piano. You're not going to expect novice to play like professional. They have to go through the process of learning. And teaching your awareness to be at present moment is just like training muscle. You have to give yourself time and you have to show yourself compassion, because every time you spot that you wandered away, just from the task that you said you would focus on, is a win. Is a win. It doesn't matter if it take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. At least you're becoming aware, and trust me, with the practice and consistency, this amount of wandering times will be limited, and you'll be more present and more focused on one thing for a prolonged period of time. So that's when it comes to training your mind, right? But there are other things you can do to improve your brain capacity, your cognitive functions, which are also very important when it comes to focus and concentration, and things like quality sleep. Well, we can't discard that, because what is happening. Let's say you sleep 5 hours a day, and first of all, you're not resting enough, because body needs certain amount of hours to rejuvenate, but our mind need more, okay? Because brain is working constantly, all the time. And if we don't have quality time to slow this down and rest it up, it will caught up on you faster than you think. So you're not gonna be able to focus. You're not gonna be able to accomplish your tasks as well as you want, and that will create more stress in your body, in your mind, and then the ball will start, it's gonna be snowball effect of going downward, right? So sleeping, quality sleep, you also will notice that if you sleep well, have a good night's sleep, you are less reactive, you're becoming more responsive. It's just like this good quality sleep gives you a buffer of time of deciding how you want to react or how you want to be. So this is a very important element, right? I'm generally a much nicer person when I had a good night's sleep. So yeah, so I just make that conscious decision just to sleep well, because first of all, it feels great to feel great, and I really like giving myself just permission to have a good night's sleep, and again, I know how great it is for my mind, for my well-being. Another thing is gonna be nutrition, right? So there's lots of obviously healthy food, nothing kind of what's the word, be better than healthy nutrition. But nowadays, what it's like, the world is pretty polluted and the soil is not as fertile as it used to be. So supporting ourselves with good supplements, quality supplements, are always a good way to go. I remember when I was studying brain cognitive functions and gut health, with Phil Richards, and this guy is just like, his knowledge is just as big as as the universe, and he was talking about the importance of the nutrition and how it impacts our cognitive functions, our brain, concentration, focus, you name it, and other functions in the body, and also importance of our gut health, because to be fair, we don't really know which is the first brain. Is it the gut or is it the brain? Because they are connected and they're working very closely. So I'm not going to be talking about that in too much detail. I would suggest you to do your own research, because we could probably spend here another 45 minutes, an hour.
Or just get in touch with you, Ange, because as soon as you're
Or
a nutritionist, that would make more sense,
get in
wouldn't it?
touch, just and I can help you out, just to figure out what is the best way to go, not only when it comes to cognitive functions, but
But you're working with a few people on this, right?
yeah,
At the moment,
yes,
obviously you can't say too much about your clients, but you're doing wonders with them. So, yeah. With a little smile coming on Angie's face, then.
Solution and answer are much closer than we think. And what I'm gonna say is this: there's no such thing like one size fits all. Okay, everything is personal and need to be adapted to your life. Okay, so if you want to go by book, well, stuff in the book is great base of information, but everybody is different, so it won't apply to everybody the same way, right?
Just occurred to me at the time of recording this, we're coming up to that there Christmas, and it'll be January, and everyone's on their diets.
And New Year resolutions.
If you listen on the podcast and rolled her eyes at the word diet, I think because it got the word diet
Don't
in it.
start me on that.
It's got
Okay.
the word diet in it.
Don't start me on that.
Just saying, it's got the word die in it. Just before we go on to the next one, just something I remembered as well. I think you showed me about this. If you've got an iPhone, you go into your settings, there's a thing there called Focus. And you can set up your phone to switch off screen time. And if there's someone you really need to have on the other end of the phone, you can set it. So
is it like a priority list?
Yeah, you have like a priority of people to contact you. So I've just got like no one. Now I've got a few people, obviously, being a parent and things like that. So, and you can set that for sleep, but you can also set that for work time and personal. So you can have a few different settings on there. If you feel that would help you, it's worth a look. I can only tell you it's on iPhone because I have an iPhone. So it might be on Android, it might not be on Android.
I wouldn't be surprised
I
if it
would have
will
thought
be,
it would
because
be
it becomes
something.
a standard,
You probably get an app for that anyway. So don't feel because especially, I think anyone's got a phone now, you somehow got attached to it. And just, I would say, well, I don't know, you might be in that small percentage that can really, really absolutely control it. And well done, let us know how you're getting on with that and how it works for you, because that's really important to share. But these things, they make a massive, massive difference. We have been conditioned into it. I can see where I have, and just where you were talking about being in the present moment for children, it took me back to the past a little bit, and just where I got caught up with some stressful thing or whatever, and then I'm answering a message and getting and I'll take accountability for it. But it's important to remember we get distracted, and it there's, because we kind of said, it's dopamine coming in. Sometimes it's the other one, and you just like this is really just not something I want to see. We're going to come on to the next bit, which is quite important. And I talk about this again in the course, and something we both conduct, but it's setting the time when you're going to go and check that out. So first thing in the morning, obviously we can't wait to check the phone.
I don't have that
No.
problem.
No, I used to be like that, and I've made a massive change, and it has made a big difference to my day ahead. Because if I picked up like it could be a text or something, it's just I don't want to see that first thing in the morning. So where I was able to now say 90% of the time, not because it comes up on my screen, I need to change that. Or I can do what we're going to suggest next. If I can do that, then pretty much my day's set up. So I got the day set with good intentions straight away. What is it, Angg? What's the next one? You ready for it?
Before we actually roll into this one, I will say what is happening when you wake up, and first thing you do, you actually grab the phone and you check what is going on with the world. No, simply, you're basically tapping into everybody's agenda. So it's got nothing to do with you, but you're getting emotionally involved in what is happening in the world, what is happening in others people's lives. and this start influencing how you are feeling yourself. So the question is, do you want to set the tone for the day for yourself, or you're gonna be basically living through someone else's standards? I hope that does make sense. So what I generally do, I don't check my phone late in the evening, or when I do, I just do it sporadically. And I definitely do not touch my phone when I wake up in the morning. I say to myself, this is my time for myself. I just want to decide how I want this day to be for me. And I want to tune in, and I want to be present with myself and decide, what I would like to accomplish today, how I would like to feel today. Just giving myself permission, just to have this moment with myself for myself. And then I meditate. I love meditation. I'm not gonna be talking about all of the benefits of meditation and what it can do for you. All I can say is what it does for me. And for me, as a much calmer person, I have less destructive and disturbing thoughts in my head, because I reach higher level of vibration where from there I have no access to bothering thoughts. I'm not saying I'm not gonna fall somewhere, just during the day into the trap, but at least I'm starting in this good feeling place, and that way I'm setting the tone for the day. So then when I feel really good, when I open that phone and I look emails, when I look at the messages, my approach and the way I'm absorbing the information is completely different, because I'm not already wind up with someone's agenda in my head, and then I'm just adding on to it. I have my own standards, and my standards for the day are exactly the ones that I set for myself. I've chosen consciously for myself. So I want to be relaxed. I want to feel great. I want to be responsive, not reactive. I want to be present with people. I want to experience nice things. I want to be grateful. And when you are actually on the roll and set yourself, you train your mind to feel that way, you're most likely gonna experience your life in that way. But you have to do that. You have to allow yourself this time with yourself, by yourself, without any distraction at first in the morning, because it's a crucial time.
Well, thoughts are like buses.
Are we going back to buses again?
Yeah. Thoughts are like buses. One turns up, and then another, and then another, and then another.
Yeah.
So,
and then we have traffic.
yeah, and then you got traffic, then you got traffic jam. So, you could, I suppose it's 50-50 if it's going to be positive or negative. But why chance it? Why not? The whole point of this is that we take control, because, and again, this is something I used to do, switch on the TV, watch Good Morning Britain, and sometimes, if I was lucky, there was something that would tickle me and make me laugh. Other times, there'd just be angry people on there just shouting, and you don't realise how much that's having an influence on you. And then going into a job I had at the time, I suppose, that same thing. Is having that influence. So might as well set yourself up with some positive thoughts before you do anything. And you could ignore your messages and just go on Facebook, but again, that's quite media orientated sometimes. If there's a disaster, guarantee everyone's going to tell you about it on Facebook. So you don't need to know the news. If you want to know what the weather's like, just go on Facebook.
Let's be honest.
It's raining. But look, what I mean is there's a lot of positive stuff on there as well. But you're taking control of your thoughts. And if you can set yourself up, if you haven't meditated before, 10-15 minutes is enough. You don't have to sit there for hours. And there's some real nice guided ones on YouTube. That's maybe one for another day. Maybe Angg should do one. I reckon Angg should do some recorded meditation guides. But yeah, I think it's certainly helped me, especially when my head was going all over the place. And you pick up your phone, there's a stressful message on there. I got to do this today. I need to do that today. And if you went to bed like it, you're going to wake up like it. So, it just helps really empty. As my friend Ninja said to me once, you need to empty the trash in your head.
Exactly.
And it's a good way of doing that, and set yourself up with those positive intentions for the rest of the day. Yeah, those things are going to come anyway, but if you can create some positive thoughts as the first thing you do, then anything negative is going to rebound, just bounce off there. I have less of an impact, at least anyway, I would say. All right, because obviously some things just but that's, again, we're talking of a scarcity it's quite scarce when it's a bad thing happens. Wouldn't you
Well,
say?
that's anxiety. So
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
just you're traveling to the future. So it's
It's a what if that, anyway. But again, it's creating yourself an abundant mindset in everything that we do. And trust me, I get it. If you're stressed and there's things going on and it's just overwhelming, yes, it is quite hard to keep an abundant mindset, but it is achievable and you can do it. And you might have an off day and that's all right. Just that means you've just overdone a little bit, rest, switch everything off, just stop for today, because you'll be more productive tomorrow once you've had a bit of time out.
again compassion.
Exactly.
And the last one that we're gonna mention, just very briefly, is exercising. So when we exercise, I'm not gonna talk about the whole benefits, just of it in a physical.
Because if you don't know by now where you've been.
We're gonna talk about what is happening in our mind, when we exercise. And first of all, there was some smart ally saying once, I don't remember who, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, that there's no stress in the world that would last longer than 10K, right? Obviously, it must have liked the running. I'm not one of those people, but I get the sense what they mean by that is that exercises are helping us to distress. When we are distressed, our mind slows down, and that allows us to be more present. So if you want to take care of your mind, your mindset, you being able to be more present, exercise is great. I'm not talking about the type of exercise, just pick the type of exercise that work for you. And from the physiological, I'm trying to pronounce the right point of view, what is happening, you're delivering more oxygen to the brain, so you again cognitive functions, brain capacity is increasing because the brain is functioning much better. The oxygen is very important, not only for brain but for the rest of the body. And like I said, there is body-mind connection that we need to take care of. So as you can see, we've mentioned many different things, how to work with the mind, how to work with the body while talking on this topic. And I would like you to understand the fact that all of it is connected. You can't focus only on one thing and neglect the rest, because it will backfire at you, okay? So instead of being overwhelmed about the all information you've just received, start implementing little bits here and there, and in time it will start adding up, and it will become easier and easier and easier. Like I said, it's a practice that requires training. Like a muscle, you need to just do the right amount of repetitions to become really good at it. But again, the rewards are much greater than the efforts you put in. So if you really care of how you feel and you really want to be present and live happier and healthier and more relaxed, make that effort and make that choice for yourself, and just see how great it feels, because there's nothing better than being present.
Definitely not. And last thing, like exercise, if you're lucky enough to be part of a class somewhere, then this is something I used to say, because when I wasn't feeling it, that was often turned out, I'd say 90% of the time, to be a great class for me. And I used to think, do you know what, I don't feel like it tonight, but all I got to do is turn up, and I'll let that instructor sort me out. It's starting to rain. I think that means
And it means it's
time
time
for us
to go.
to finish. We will see you next time, same podcast time, same podcast channel.
Yes, and the same people. Sorry, but not sorry.
Oh, just for fun now. I feel like we should get someone else in and just do it for different episodes.
But like Muppets. No? Do you remember Muppets? Do you like Muppets? Oh, forget it.
All right.
Anyway, guys, choose one of the tasks
Yeah, just pick one. 1%
and
change.
try to practice it this week and see how it works for you, how it makes you feel. Even if it's just switching your phone and notifications 2 hours before you go to sleep. See how this impacts you and how you feel after. Let
Gotta
us
go, gotta
know.
get the washing. It's raining. Bye.
Ciao.